Excellent. Welcome, everybody.
Mm,
Nice to see all your faces, returning faces. Um, Good to have people that have been here all the way through this. This has been great. And this is number 4 of our 4-part series. And just so you know, all 3 other parts are up on our YouTube channel, Madeline Wade, Mark Mooney, YouTube, um, where you can review those, view those, and in case you missed one, go back and see that. So this one will be up in a few days, and we'll keep that part going. As usual, if you have certain along the way, if you have questions, please go chat Madeline and I, and with your questions, we'll address it as we go along. Be able to do that. Okay, so today, care and play.
mhm,
Now, they're connected and they're not connected. But we thought these 2 topics would probably be a really good way to organize for today. It's not that they don't happen. It's not that people don't care.
mhm.
But sometimes these, what seems to be just like kind of normal things to do, doesn't get the attention that it could deserve about, well, how are we going to do this? And it becomes a conversation in relationships about what kind of care are we going to offer each other. And care happens in a number of different kind of domains. So we're going to look at like, where does care happen? What happens when it gets out of control? Negative aspects of care, like over caring, necessary care, such as like caretaking, those kinds of things, and address that. And there's always places for improvement for any relationship. And so we're going to go over different aspects of that. Part 2 is going to be around play. And Madeline and I, as some of you who know us better, know that we take our play very seriously. And that is a balance to the amount of difficulty, seriousness, suffering on so many different levels in our world today. Being playful can be really useful. Um, so want to address play in different ways that can show up, because sometimes, like I said, it's so just in the stream of things that we're not really paying attention to it that much. Both care and play are choices. Like, how do we choose to be in these different domains? How do we choose to care with my partner, care with myself? How do I nurture this relationship in the ways that would really be valuable and useful? And in the domain of play is like, do we play? Do we get goofy together?
Never.
Never. Are there's obviously times for very serious conversations. Even conversations that have meaning in life, illnesses and things like that. So it's not like playing goofy all the time. So it becomes a choice. And one of the things we forget is like, we can make agreements about that inside of the relationship. How do we want to be in this? There's a few times, Madeline, my humor once got overboard. And Madeline, she goes, really, this kind of thing. And I go, okay, from now on, I'm going to be completely serious, which lasts about 10 minutes. And, so sometimes we can overdo. I'm playful and silly and sarcastic. There's a good place to go over the waterfall. And so we just want to look at all these places and what does it mean? How do we organize ourselves so that we're basically doing the best we can for ourselves, for our relationship, and even in the bigger family and relationship of all our friends and teammates and people we work with, wherever we extend out in the world. So to start with, we're going to review like we've done every time, because the most important practice that underlies everything that we do is a centering practice. Centering and grounding and being able to center well, either as an interrupter to reactive states, like I feel myself headed to, this isn't going to serve, so I can interrupt it by centering, bring myself back to the moment here, make a choice of how I want to be in the moment. Centering is also, and this one I would suggest you want to strongly consider as centering as and a centered presence as a way of being in the world.
Mhm.
So the way I challenge myself, and I suggest this to my clients, is how much can you be centered? Can you be centered in your life more than you're not? Live a centered presence rather than just use it as you need it. So we're going to, as we've done in the past, one more time,
Mm.
uh, review the centering practice.
Yeah.
You can't practice centering too much. It's one of those practices that will serve you greatly anywhere, all the time, especially when there's stress or pressure. It's like, I want my go-to under stress and pressure to be a centered presence, not reaction. There's only one way to be able to do that. Practice it 3,000-4,000 times. Literally 3,000 or 4,000 times to get good, so that we can really interrupt effectively and bring ourselves present more and more during the day. Just walking around the house in a centered presence. Why not? Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to our centering practice magician.
Ta-da! And so either you can sit or stand. Good. And so since we've been practicing, and this is our fourth time, we're going to move through this a little more quickly than we usually do. And so I'm going to start with taking a nice deep breath, belly, chest, in through the nose, out through the mouth. So allowing your muscles, your weight to drop down. Feel your feet. Are your feet evenly distributed? If you're on your heels, if you're standing, you're off center. If you're on the balls of your feet, you're off center. Letting that energy drop down, length. Connecting with something bigger than all of us, and that plumb line dropping down into the center of the earth. Heaven and earth, dignity. Width. Width is about connection to self, to others, and seeing that bigger picture. And right now, it's, to me, very important to open up that peripheral vision, see the bigger picture here in the world now. Not so narrowly focused. We get so focused on all the negative things. If we're watching the news and all of that, we want to open up. So width. And then the last is depth. Depth is about coming from your center, 2 inches below your belly button, all the way from your history, 300 ancestors back, all the way to this moment, which again is hard for all of us to be in, and then into the future. So depth, what do you really care about right now? And are you walking your talk? In other words, is what's coming out of your mouth coincide with your actions? So depth. So length, width, and depth. Again, dropping down. Are your belly soft, your knees soft? If you're sitting, just notice as your stomach starts to tighten, let it go. Take another nice deep breath. Feel. And if you're standing or sitting close to another human being, just notice if you can extend your energy to them and just be, feel, and then come back to you. Noticing what's happening in your body. And so when we're centered and everything is going well, there will be opportunities where we get off center. So we're going to do a practice now, whether you're sitting or standing, where you can get off center.
So, standing next to your partner like this. Yep.
Or just standing. Good. All right. You go ahead.
So on center, off center. So part of the muscle we want to build in centering is notice I'm not centered and bring myself back to center. So we're going to replicate that. And make sure there's a little room to the side.
Yeah.
Because literally what I'm going to do is my partner's centered, then life happens, throws me off, and she comes back and centers. So note, I'm not pushing her on the floor. I'm not pushing her against the wall or into the TV or anything like that. It's just enough to have her go off center. And one of the things you want to watch here, so now you're going to do it to me, is I'm going to resist that getting thrown off. She's not going to throw me off. I was like, so in this, in this practice, what you want to do, because we're practicing coming back, is allow yourself, notice whatever tendency might be there, allow yourself to get thrown off. How quick can I come back without rushing it? So it's not like this. See, because I'm not, I clearly wasn't centered there.
Yeah.
I went too fast to really be able to maintain center. So it's not about speed. It's about effectively being able to, I don't want to hesitate. I don't want to like drag it out. I just want to see it's like take the time necessary. Don't rush it. But how fast can I recenter myself? Okay, so somebody decide who's going there first. Is an A person and a B person?
And if you're by yourself,
you get to be both people?
Yeah.
So if you're by yourself, I have a little space here. If you're by yourself, what I want you to do is like center yourself, and when we say go, then just throw yourself off and come back. So best you can. Even if you're sitting down, center, collapse, and bring yourself back. So that you can do driving, not the driver, but the passenger. Okay, so A person is going to push B person. So I'm going to be A person, she's going to be B person. Again, first thing is center yourself, align, breathe, drop your breath in your belly, roots in the ground. Push them off center. And come back.
And
go ahead.
And this is where you want to notice the person that's being pushed off center. What happens in your body? What do you notice? For example, for me, my stomach tightens and I actually move into kind of a like, oh, well, this is supposed to happen. Kind of a body of resignation.
This is a place where your CT might show up very subtly, like you start to fight it. Why are you doing that? You know, the automatic, so you just catch conversation, catch mood, check body sensation. What happens to you? So same roles, second time. Partner centers. You're an individual, you center yourself, off center. And come back. Again, just noticing what happens. Okay, now we're going to switch roles.
Center yourself. The person centering, feel, relax. You're here, you're present. And then move the up person off center. And then slowly come back, feel again. What's the story? What's the emotion?
So one of the things I noticed for myself that time, there was an anticipation. I was starting to brace. I almost felt myself starting to like, because I knew this thing was coming. There's another aspect here of be careful with this. Put your hand here. I'm going to do it for her. So let yourself get pushed off center. And one more time.
Center, deep breath. Ready? Move your partner off center. Again, feeling, emotion, story, sensation in the body.
As always, thank you, partner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And let's come back. So that's life. about 75 to 100 times a day. Not a big getting thrown off center, but I get thrown off and I come back. Get thrown off, I come back. So it's just life to get thrown off center. Nobody's centered all the time. It's impossible. If you see somebody centered all the time, what's really happening is they're just coming back really fast. There's certain teachers, martial art teachers and that kind of thing, they've been asked. And they go, no, I'm not centered all the time. I just come back so fast you don't notice that I'm gone.
Yeah.
So this is the practice ongoing during your day, during your life, coming back to center, coming back to center, coming back to center.
This is what we're talking about from the distinction between interrupter, which centering definitely is an interrupter, to also centering being a way of being, living a centered life. And so there's a difference there. And that's why the practice, as we all know, if we've ever learned something, practice, you can't read a book about swimming and jump in the water and swim. And so you have to practice. So living that centered life.
Okay, now we're going to center around care. So this is one of the things about centering. We're all centering around something all the time. Some concern, something that's important to us. I go on vacation, I'm sitting on a beach with my Corona. I'm centering around not doing a damn thing. So just realize that we're always centered around something. Let's be centered around something on purpose. So at the moment, we're going to center around caring. So care shows up a lot of different ways. I think in just about any kind of relationship that's doing well, care shows up. I have a client who is in a relationship that care comes and goes. There's certain times their partner does not show one bit of care and instead shows a bit of disdain. And there's other times they're just beautiful in it. So what we're looking at here, can there be a current of care that's consistent, well practiced, and in certain domains agreed upon? So care comes in a lot of different ways. One of the first things we want to recognize is our orientation to care is historically organized. So unexamined, we offer care, we receive care related to our shaping, related to all the dynamics, experiences we've had in life. And that's all we can do. Unexamined, that's all we can do. It's the automaticness in us. So part of what we want to do here is let's go someplace other than that conversation, what's automatic in us, and go, what do I choose to do? And in that choice, let's choose with our partners. Yeah. And if we're not in a partnership, then how do I choose for myself? Because it's not just me, it's your friends. It's people you care about. It's your relatives. A lot of people have, Madeline and I have both gone through this, aging parents, and a certain period of caretaking with aging parents is like, oh God, do we really have to do this? And it's like, yeah, we do. Yeah. And it's one of the things, how are you going to be in it? So.
And it's also care with children. And some of you have children in different ages, and that's vitally important. How do you want to care for them?
Yeah. Sometimes the care extends so much to the kids that the adults in the relationship don't get the care they need. So it's always like, how do we have what we want? And again, it really comes back to agreements. Like, what kind of agreements do I have in my relationship about how we do all this? Okay. So in certain domains, I got a list here, so I'm going to be reading a little bit. Health and well-being. How do I take care of myself? How do we support each other in this? Respect is a form of care. Like, I don't know why you feel that way. I can't understand that. And as opposed to, you feel that way? Tell me more. Be interested. How was your day? It's a simple question that shows you care. How was your day? Oh, that was hard for you? I'm so sorry. Touch. How was your day?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Right? So
And for people that aren't in partnership, they can also go, oh, wow, I did a good job just now. So it's not just about getting touch from others, but it's also feeling your own self, touching in that way.
touch is a touchy conversation these days
Yeah.
because of the virus and that kind of thing. And I've seen many articles about how human beings crave touch. We need touch. Those of us who've been somatically educated, we know the importance of touch. Absolutely necessary for human beings. So if we can't do it out there, we can do it here because we're living together.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's places all of us can receive some amount of human touch. Very important. Listening is a form of care. She's over here trying to tell me something, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm listening, hon.
No, he's not.
So how we listen. Listening contains connection and extension. I'm listening. She can feel my presence with her. It's a form of care. She knows I care because I'm listening. Revealing yourself. I had a hard time today. Suddenly it occurred to me that X, Y, and Z is going on, and I was really struggling with that. Being that listener or that speaker, sometimes it's like, and I'm going to generalize here, often much harder for the guys, to go, I was feeling this today, and I'll express my feelings and talk about my feelings. You want to hear about my feelings?
Oh, yes. I would love to hear about your feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
We forget that sometimes, but it's critical. It locates us as a partnership when she knows how I feel, when I know how she feels.
Yeah.
And repeatedly, and I love this and hate this that Madeline does this, that she sees that I'm off and she goes, hon, what's going on? Of course, I don't want anybody to notice it. So I'm just speaking my own stuff there. But she does it, and it's like, I'm so grateful that she sees me and she's really seeing and she cares. It reveals the care. Time together. We spend time together because we care. Right? So we make sure we have time together. Mel and I have the good fortune, we both work from home, and almost every day, but not quite every day, we purposefully find out where the break is that we can sit down and have lunch together. We want to spend time together. Keeping promises. If I really care, she asked me to do something, I go yes, and I really care, I'll do what I say I'm going to do. So keeping promises is another way. Assessments. One element of assessing, offering assessments to each other, is speaking virtues. One of the places this happened most is where? Funerals, where we start to say, this person was so good here and they were so good there, and this was a beautiful part about them. Instead of like occasionally go, hon, I just want you to know what I appreciate about you.
Yeah.
I'm showing how I care. We spend time together. We go on dates. Now, we may have dates where we don't go out. We may have dates as like, hey, rather than watching TV tonight, hon, let's play cards. Let's play cards together.
What's this?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, the scratching noise was me looking at my notes.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. To show I care, my partner may have worked really, really hard today, harder than usual. And I go, why don't you let me cook dinner tonight?
Okay.
Not just because it's an anniversary, not just because it's a birthday, but because I care. So these are a lot of different areas, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more areas. So where can we express care? How can we express care? And sometimes there's the part of, you know, I need something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling like when I do, you know, that work out in the yard, that I never hear you say anything about it. So I'm wondering if you couldn't, like, if you see something and you like it and you see what I've done, that you can mention it.
I'd be happy to do that.
So sometimes it's useful for us to ask for what we need related to care. I need a hug. Yeah? So to ask for what we need. And again, historically, for some of us, that's extremely difficult because we don't matter. I'm not worth it. I don't deserve to get my needs met. But we got to remember, they care about us. And if I express a need, very good chance they're going to be there for me. If you're an individual, you're not necessarily in a relationship, you can still ask friends. I have one person, a recent client that is like, I feel so isolated. And it's kind of like, well, make a request, your friends contact you occasionally.
Yeah. I have a story with Rita, my dear sister. Years ago, when I first started this work, I actually called her and said, would you be willing to call me once a week and just check in with me? And she said yes. And so that care for me, I wasn't always what I felt, not that this happened between her and I, but giving all the time. I didn't know how to receive. And so that was my conditioned tendency. So for Rita to say yes and call me, which she did beautifully every week, was wonderful. So I asked for what I needed.
How long have you two been hanging out?
34 years, something like that.
Yeah, developing relationships, developing friendships, asking for what you need. So, choice. This is another place where choice becomes really, really important. Be choiceful. Be careful where you get driven, where your history is demanding certain things from you, asking certain things from you. This really is not your choice. And it may be in relationship in reference to something. So how our history can affect us. So this is a thing that Madeline and I do.
Yeah.
So it's real. So we're going to talk about ourselves for a second here, just as the example of how care could possibly go wrong. So historically, I'm not real good at making my usual checkup, doctor's appointments things. I'm sure nobody else has this problem out there. Yeah, that not so good at, the regular routine kinds of things, doing this, go get the blood test, all that kind of stuff. I'm not necessarily good at it. And I know that. But when I go, it's like, I don't care, I'll go, I'm fine with it. Yeah. So because she cares, she can get kind of insistent that, have you made the call? Have you made that appointment yet? Okay, so here's where it could go bad. Some of my deeper stuff pushes me towards perfection. Part of that perfection is I don't get sick because I'm perfect. So to have to go get a routine checkup thing is going to reflect that, or open the possibility that I'm not perfect. So I resist. Now where this could go is she could start insisting, I could start arguing. Now, every time she does this, the interesting thing is I get this little, yeah. But I know what it is. I know where it comes from. I know it's just my BS. And so it's like, I'm not going to go there. It's kind of, yes. And then maybe the third time she says it, I actually make the appointment. On the other end of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, my CT is nobody cares about me. I'm not seen. And so when I ask him would you please make a doctor's appointment? And he says no, then I move into that part of me that says, oh, well, see, I'm not worth anything. Nobody sees me. So then I'll get sometimes a little more aggressive in my request, which the mood, remember we've talked about that, the mood and intention and how you speak things can create also a rift in our relationship in that sense. And so I'm getting my CT grabbed. He's getting his CT grabbed. This is where come back to center, ground.
If we don't self-manage well,
Yeah.
All of a sudden, care is being expressed, but we end up in an argument. So this is the place where you really, really want to pay attention. Really notice, put yourself over there. She puts herself over here and goes, what's going on there? Be curious with your partner. If you see some kind of resistance, it's kind of like, what's happening there? Rather than, you have to do this, or whatever the conversation might be. So knowing how you get triggered, being able to manage that in the simplest of kinds of conversations. In this respect, we're talking about care. Why would we resist care from our partner? Logically, it doesn't make any sense, but when things get triggered on us, that can happen. So it's something to watch out for. The other thing, there's an over-caring. And this can be very disruptive. Anything you need? Can I get you some water? You need anything? Hey, let me rub your hands. And she's over again there going, leave me the friggin' alone, would you? Yeah. So it's another place to be careful. They're not extending so much over here. I'm losing myself, over caring to the point where she's like starts pushing away or something like that. So it's like, what's too much? What's not enough? We're always looking at that balance. What's too much? What's not enough? Yeah. So that's a place to pay attention. There's another place is when care turns into controlling. Now this is, we're going off the deep end now. And so I got another list here. One by the name of Sarah Burke on her website listed these pieces, and I just thought they were so great. I'm just going to read her list. So when care turns into control, and things to watch out for, partner creates rules, but they don't apply to them. One partner doesn't let the other partner talk to their friends. I check on my partner excessively. I organize a certain kind of mood where it's not appropriate for her to disagree. Temper gets lost over little things. Resent having fun if I'm not there from the other person. This one's actually true. I'm never at fault. Remember the perfection part? I'm never at fault. Anything that goes on. Yeah. But that's another controlling thing. Like never ever being able to admit fault. Giving backhanded compliments. Other partner when I take a stand, other partner breaks down. Either like some kind of CT shows up. So these are all the kinds of places to pay attention. It's like, where does controlling start to happen? It could be inadvertent. Could be just somebody in their reactive state, not necessarily meaning bad, but just like it can show up. So to wrap up about care is when and where is it appropriate? How do we do it? How can we be caring with each other? What kind of choices do I want to make? Ask for what you need and start making agreements.
Again, this is where you come into utilizing all these things we've been talking about: self-management, centering, conversations for action. All of that is coming into play in this particular part of our life around care. All right. So the next topic after care is play. Hello. Welcome.
So the question is there enough play in your relationship?
Yeah. I mean, we hide this. This is our normal nose, and we just hide this
yes.
so people won't get too freaked out about it.
So you wear your mask. You don't have to wear a mask if you wear these.
Yeah, you have to wear.
You can't breathe in germs.
Yeah. And so, I mean, a part of this is like, no. I mean, when we become too serious, what do we need to do? And Mark and I will sometimes just put on our noses and say, okay, let's talk about this.
It's hard to get too serious when you're having a conversation with your partner.
Right.
With the big red nose on.
Yeah, with the big red nose. And so that's a possibility. Yeah. So anyway, play. Here we go. Yeah. part of around play is, where does it show up in your life? Well, can you find humor in your life? And I'm talking about being silly, just like we did there, or goofy, or jokes, things like that. So my question is, have you lost the capacity for fun in your relationship? Because lack of play can, in relationships, it becomes what will happen if you don't have play. And a lot of us growing up, and here's a part of the CT, didn't really know how to play, or we weren't allowed to really play. And so coming back as an adult, and then through school and everything, we get all that squeezed out of us. I remember going to an elementary school that went from kindergarten to 6th grade. And kindergarten, they're all running around and playing and making messes. And by the 6th grade, they're sitting in a darkened room with the teacher in the front with a light thing talking math. And they're all sitting there like this, And so the play really gets squeezed out of us. And so, how do you want to move in the world with play? So again, the lack of play can create more of a survival endurance. And that's what it becomes, rather than enjoying life. And then when we don't have play, it increases stress. I mean, how many times have you seen a movie that made you laugh? Or, right now, that's what I watch, is like Trevor Noah and John Oliver, because they're speaking the truth, but they give me an opportunity to laugh at what's happening. And how does that make your body feel different? And also, without play, we lose our vitality. I mean, if you have kids playing, or you see kids playing, I mean, they're running and screaming and, and all of that. It's like watching new babies, like goats and lambs, and they're bouncing all over the field. The vitality of youth. And so when we lose that, we lose our vitality. And so when you talk about what is play for you, and this can be from an individual standpoint too. Play can be activities like sports. Maybe you get out and throw the frisbee together, or you go out and play tennis, or you go out and do a limbo contest. I mean, yeah, I thought that would be a good
That'd be a good one, yeah.
Then you call the ambulance and say, oh. And so, and then hiking, of course, you're in nature. That's another beautiful, and you can do that alone or with another human being. But when you're with another human being in that way, nature just opens us up. I mean, if you remember walking down a hiking path, and the woods around you or the ocean beside you, there's a whole different sensation of vitality and happiness. And then art, being creative, doing painting or beading or clay. All of those things can bring forth a playness. You don't have to be an artist. You can get a big sheet of paper and get some colors and just say, okay, let's stick our fingers in the paints and see what happens together, or alone. And then, there's gardening. I mean, gosh, I know a lot of people that love to garden together. Or even if you're alone, go out there and speak to the plants and stick your hands in the dirt and all of that. That, again, more vitality. And so being playful with each other. It's like for Mark and I putting on the red noses, or, coming up and giving him a tickle or something like that, being playful. It's a way of being. Play isn't just like, oh, let's get this Monopoly game out and play, which can be fun too, but it's also a way of being with your significant other, or even yourself. And, it creates a mood of lightness. And then there can also be little practical jokes, nothing, heavy duty, but, like put a rubber spider on, or something like that.
Or or put a knot in the sleeve of the sweater that you're helping your partner put on,
Yeah.
and put a knot in there and just watch him struggle with it.
And so those are the things that uh, around play. So just looking in your relationship, whether it's with self, with friends, with family, with children. I mean, a lot of us with children, we say, oh, this work life blend is very challenging. I don't have a lot of time to play with my children. But the really important thing is quality time. Whether it's a half an hour, whatever, you're there, you're in quality time, you're playing with them, whether they're building a castle or they're tearing one down.
So I had a client once who was shocked at the concept of getting down on the floor and playing with their kids.
Yeah.
I could do that? Of course, I was shocked at that response. But there's like, some people get so far away with what it is to be playful. They couldn't conceive of like getting down there and playing like a 6-year-old with your kids. Or of course, that's not a good idea if they're 15.
Yeah.
But you get what we were saying here.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if they're 15, if they, it's like, okay, we're going to play. I don't know if you ever did this. My brother and I used to do this. We would lay next to each other and do our legs, 1, 2, and then try to, those kind of things. I mean, it can be really fun and create that, again, that levity. And it's also novelty. Like, try something new. And so, because when we are engaged in play, it creates more happiness. I mean, as you see, when you watch children play, they're not, they're laughing and giggling and having fun and really seeing each other. And a part of this also aligns you with your needs, your deepest needs. And your deepest needs is connection and affection. That's what we want. And so play can really help that. And it is a huge predictor of your well-being, who you are. If, a lot of us, I mean, like I said, I don't want to be a sour old woman. And I see a lot of elders moving in that direction.
If you don't take care of your conditioned tendencies, you don't manage them, your conditioned tendencies will own you more and more and more in that old shape.
Yeah.
And now you're an old person, you're all bent over, and you're chasing the kids out of your yard because they're making too much noise. You can't stop aging in years, but getting old is a choice.
Yes, very well said. Yes.
And silliness undercuts getting old. In fact, we kind of decided we're never ever going to grow up.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. We're doing the Peter Pan, Peter woman, whatever syndrome here, And so, and I also understand with kids, you have to grow up in the sense of, but also, maybe there's a possibility there with your children. If they do something, they're playing, they're getting too loud, and you want to just jump in and say, quiet down. If you interrupt, recenter, and open your heart to the playfulness of it, maybe there's another way to interact with them that could still quiet them down if necessary, but not be like that sword cut.
One of the other important things to remember as parents is our kids are inheriting us. And so the more playful we can be, we're offering a possibility to the next generation of playful is okay, even when you're an old person. The play is really okay. And we could pass that on. I mean, I totally inherited my playfulness from my dad. Not from my mom. That's pretty darn clear.
Yeah.
But from my dad. And he never stopped being playful all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And so it's like we inherit that. So remember, we're offering something to the little ones when we're playful around them.
Yeah. And so play, and I also am reading a little bit from notes too, but play is a gateway to vitality. It really is. When you think about, if you have a good belly laugh, how does your body feel afterwards? You know, I mean, to me, I think it's just so important to find things that, you know, like that make me laugh. And so you want to, the gateway to vitality for playing, it generates optimism, not pessimism. You can't be happy and be, oh, I hate this. The seeking of novelty, which means trying something new, you know. Actually strengthens the immune system when we have that more positive way. And it also fosters empathy and promotes a sense of belonging and community, you know. And it allows free-flowing energy. It supports flexible thinking. It generates creativity. And it generates a free spiritness, as we see when we see kids running around playing games. And it increases our imagination, which to me, imagination is the key. We can imagine it, we can be it, we can do it. But we have a practice that we want to do. And we're going to, again, if you feel comfortable, you can do this sitting if you want, or you can stand up. And if you're, again, by yourself, this is also something that I'm going to be working with the individuals. So our first request is that, no, we don't want to do that till we're
Not till we
complete.
put them into the practice.
Yes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to center one person. You pick who that is going to center. You will be the centered person. And then the B person, or the individual, and again, I'm going to be working with the individuals in a moment here, will do something without touching the other person that will get them off center in a playful way.
So I'm not going to get centered where I'm overly serious. I know we're going to get kind of silly here. So I know that's happening, but I'm putting on my calm demeanor.
Yes. Yeah.
And her job is to make me crack up.
Yeah. So this is what we're going to ask y'all to do. So one person centers, and then
I'm already starting to crack up. Yeah. I don't know if I can do this or not. Okay.
And so the other person will do something. So the person centers, and then when I say go, you will move in and do something. Okay. And notice what happens. Okay.
So to do this, so Madeline can do this effectively with the individuals that are here, we're going to give you like 4 minutes to do this one way, then do it the other way. But we're going to ask you that are in relationship, couples, turn your volume off so you don't hear what Madeline's doing with the individuals. So wait before you do that.
Not you, Rita or Jeff.
Right. But the others, like, turn your volume down so you don't hear how Madeline's trying to crack up the other two people, because that might interfere with your thing.
Yeah.
Some way. Anything else there about how to do this?
And it'll be 4 minutes, and then we'll come back, and everyone will have to turn their sound back up.
But. So you got a little bit of time.
So you want to do it twice.
Rush. Yeah. So one side, then the other side. And then if your 4 minutes isn't over, talk about it for a few minutes, like what you noticed, how was that? Basic question is, did you have fun? And Madeline will do this with the individuals. Okay, ready to go?
So just give me a thumbs up if everyone has their sound down. Okay, thank you. All right. Yep, I think we got it.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah. All right, so Jeff and Rita, I'd like for you to center yourself. I'm going to have to get much closer. Good. And again, this is just centering. You're not waiting for it or anything like that. Take a deep breath. ready? Hello, how are you?
You should ask them to do something to you.
Yeah.
Turn their unmute and do something to you.
I don't think, oh yeah. Unmute. So Jeff and Rita, you both are unmuted.
They're still muted.
Oh, they are?
I'm not.
No,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
they're not.
I
Anyway,
am.
so now I would like for you to do something to me.
Do it together.
Do it together. Okay.
I think Jeff's got it down.
Yeah, I like it, Rita. Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, good. So feeling that, noticing, whew, yeah, it feels good for me, energetic. How did it feel to be the person doing the play?
It's fun.
Oh, good.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do it one more time. And so y'all center yourself. Okay, ready? Ooga, ooga. Oh.
I know I stayed perfectly calm through that whole thing.
But why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, good feel. Now, what did it feel like? What was the energy? Did you feel more vitality? Did you feel more happiness, more open?
Yeah, my breath really opened up. That's what I could feel.
Yeah, great.
I'm ready. So the thing to pay attention to here is like, so after that, do you feel different? Can you feel more life? Can you feel more energy in your system? Is there more aliveness in you after being playful? And it's like, if there's no other reason to be playful, it energizes us. There's more life in the space.
Yeah.
You know, the space between us, the space in the space. You know, life is difficult right now. There's so much going on. And how do we land in something that's going to like offer a counterbalance to that? Yeah. So even the dogs are happier. That's great.
I love it. That's wonderful. Thank you, Barbara and Leslie.
Yeah.
Good.
So we're going to start to wind down here. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions. If you have questions, please message us or email us. We'll be happy to answer any questions, concerns you might have about what we did here today.
I mean, one of the aspects here is we like to keep the commitment of an hour.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if there's anything right now that's like so pressing you want to speak and other people have to go, that's fine. We could do that. But we have a few other things we want to mention.
So in completing these 4 sessions, self-management is clearly one of these most important things. How to have conversations, keep conversations going, ongoing until they're resolved, and do it in a good way with respect and care for each other.
Yeah.
And each other may be friends, maybe people you work with. Yeah, it could be your cat.
Or no, is that a cat or a dog?
I think it's a cat. Yeah.
It's a dog.
Oh, it's a dog?
Oh, sorry,
or even your
Alex.
dog. I didn't mean to insult your dog by calling it a cat. Anyway, so practice. That's the key.
Yeah.
Remember, where controlling and money, such important issues where they might show up, generative conversations can take care of that. And remember, part of being in relationships is to care for each other. Yeah.
And again, if there's any questions or, you know, you want to do some one-on-one work with us or you know someone, we would so appreciate that also. But it's just been a pleasure to have every one of you with us, and it just makes my heart feel so good. you're intrigued, you're interested, and just remembering, if nothing else, the centering practice and the self-management and making those agreements. And that can be internal agreements if you're not in relationship,
We would love to hear from you of how this may have been of value to you.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear that. It helps us tune our offers out.
Yeah. And so what we like to end with is that you turn and face your partner and thank them and connect. And if you're by yourself, connect with yourself and thank yourself for, even if you're with a partner, for taking this time. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you, love.
Mm.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. Be well, everybody. Take care.
Yes.
And we hope to see you all again soon.
Yes. Take care. Love to all.